Hey guys, travel with me to Los Angeles and let's talk about the Super Rugby qualifying finals. I just watched Crusaders Reds this morning. What an absolute bloodbath. Yes, there was a late flurry of tries from the Queenslanders, but at the end of the day, this thing blew out to 29-0. They were absolutely never in it. They didn't fire a shot, and it really is as simple as that. Do I think that some of the officiating was favorable to the home side? I do, actually. That might surprise you, but I don't want to be too one-eyed here. I feel that they did get the rub of the green. But you know what else I think? It didn't matter. The Crusaders were going to win this one at home no matter what. And it all came down to the breakdown. I figured that Harry Wilson and Fraser McReight would be a little bit more impactful there. Instead, Ethan Blackadder, who did get a card, although that's pretty standard operating procedure for him, Christian Leo Willie, Tom Christie, they absolutely dominated and controlled that facet of the game. It meant the Crusaders had ample ball. They simply rolled up their sleeves, and they were too good in the rolling maul, at the line-out, at the set piece. In fact, the red scrum was completely outmanned, outmaneuvered, and outmuscled for the first hour. Like I said, it was only when the game got into garbage time that the Reds started firing some shots. And full credit to Harry Wilson. He put in a very deft chip kick for Fraser McReight. Great piece of skill from the loose forwards. But otherwise, the Wallabies didn't really front up. You have to think that maybe Jeffrey Tumunga-Allen should have started for the Reds. They just needed a little bit more firepower and experience in the front row. But look, we can rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. At the end of the day, this was just another classic home win for the Crusaders. 32 points to 12, utterly emphatic defeat. Where to from here? Well, you have to think in this kind of mood, they are going straight to another grand final. One final note. I've seen a little bit of debate about the All Blacks halfback pecking order, and I've even seen a few people say, well, Noah Hotham isn't quite making the impact this year that he made last year. And that's true. He had an absolute blinder of a season last year, made his way into the All Blacks. But I feel like I'm watching a different player to some of the other pundits. To me, his chip and chase kick exemplified his game. He is just so alive to opportunities. He is so elusive as a runner. Heads up play, creativity. For me, he is still the third choice New Zealand halfback. And this game, in the crunch of a knockout situation, only reinforced that. Welcome to the Intuit Dome here in Inglewood. This place used to be the ghetto. It is totally gentrified now. But you know who is in the ghetto? The Chiefs. They were beaten by the Blues at full time. An absolutely incredible result that not many predicted. Now listen, I'm not exactly Nostradamus. I have got so many predictions wrong this year. But I did warn you that this game was ominous for the Chiefs. And we found out why. Now in the first half, no one could really get ascendancy. Daniel Rona broke, had an amazing centering kick. Cortez Ratama couldn't score. That could have been decisive. It wasn't. Beauden Barrett breaks, almost scores one of the tries of the season. And what do you know? He can't score it either. In the second half, the Chiefs ramped up their work at the breakdown. They looked like they had this game sorted. But hold on, folks. Hold on to your hats. In the last 20 minutes, the Blues went back to their 2024 game plan. Nothing but rolling mauls, pick and go, straight up the guts, tight five dominance. When you have Ricky Riccatelli, Hoskins Satutu, and Dalton Papali'i dominating that space in the tight, you are still in the game. The Blues simply out-passioned the Chiefs in the final stanzas of the game. So we're going to find out what happens next week. Can the Blues upset the Crusaders at home? On the strength of this performance, anything is possible. As for the Chiefs, I don't think they're done. In fact, this might just be the wake-up call that they needed. Let's go inside and we'll talk about my least favorite outcome of the weekend. Let's move on to Brumbies versus Hurricanes. It was a win for the home team, and you know what? It disappointed me because at the end of the day, the Canes were playing running rugby, attacking rugby, so much flair. Ruben Love was on fire. Billy Proctor looked terrific, and yet the Brumbies were applying all the scoreboard pressure through their forwards. I feel like names like Slipper and Alan Alatoa were getting much more mention than any of the backs. Now, to be fair, Tom Wright had an absolute corker, scored a great try in the second half. But at the end of the day, the Hurricanes were on a hot streak. They ran out of fire. It got extinguished by that Brumbies forward pack. The tight five is always the Achilles heel for the Hurricanes, and so it proved again this year. Disappointing to see, but Ruben Love has to be there for the All Blacks. There's no doubt about that based on the form we saw in that game. And here's another thing, guys. At least it wasn't a dead rubber. It was a compelling game. It was exciting. But you know who has the advantage? The Crusaders. They might have just locked up a home grand final in Christchurch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the real money in the bank. I'll be back to preview all of the semifinals next week. Guys, I'm going to love you and leave you from Los Angeles, California. Like, subscribe, send this to somebody who loves rugby. Be back for another one real soon. Take it easy. Bye for now.